U.S. election, despite a newly declassified intelligence report saying that Putin did just that. Out front now, a bitter opponent of Vladimir Putin, who has also done massive business with Donald Trump. Mikhail Saakashvili is the former president of the country of Georgia and opposition leader in Ukraine. Good to have you with us here in New York. So you've seen the intelligence report.
Sure.
You have experience being hacked by Russia and Vladimir Putin. The report concludes, quote, we assess Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered, their words, ordered these efforts to influence the U.S. election. This is the Putin you know.
Well, certainly he heavily influenced our elections in Georgia, and he tried to influence Ukrainian elections. Where you ask the leaders of Baltic countries, each of them will tell about Putin's intrusion into their election process. Back in 2012, first of all, in 2008, we were one of the first victims of their cyber attacks. They basically attacked all our computers at the Georgian government just before the military attack. So cyber attack is part of general warfare, that's for sure. Then they really have spread heavily fake news. In Georgia's case, they staged a video with prison abuse, which was later found out was staged by people with clear ties with Russian intelligence, and but it spread like fire, and it had its impact at that moment. So it was well done. And the other thing they would do, they would intercept our telephone calls and then upload it through Russian sites at a very important moment, just before elections, just before, during some political crisis. They do it on Ukraine, they do it in Georgia. So that's their way, and there is no doubt. I know Putin very well. I've seen this guy many times. I've spoken to him many times. He always knows every detail of their intelligence operations. He actually boasts with it. It's not like he knows nobody would ever dare to challenge him in that way, not to inform him about.
So it's not just that he would have ordered it, he knew the details.
No,
he knew it was happening. So Donald Trump today, refused to give that direct acknowledgement that it was Vladimir Putin as opposed to China or someone else. His statement was like, well, Russia and China and others engage in cyber attacks. You've been friends with Donald Trump for 2 decades. Why is it so hard for him to admit this?
Well, I've been, especially for the last several years, been interacting heavily with Donald Trump. Obviously, he's a very, very, intelligent man. I can say he's been always thinking out of the box, and all his decisions have been everything but boring and standard. So I think he'll surprise lots of people still. That's my conviction, knowing him. And here he was, when he came to Georgia, and he really came to a country which was attacked by the Russians. He clearly knew that I was the least favorite of President Putin, but it didn't stop him from coming, from praising me, from helping us, from assisting us and supporting the investment project. So I didn't detect any particular weaknesses. The problem here is what we have with Putin. Putin thinks he's eternal. So he lived through President Bush, and Bush started with kind of reset. And so it took some time. It was really war in Georgia that finally brought back all the instincts of administration. But it took some time with Bush, who was my good friend, and then also a very intelligent man. Then President Obama and Secretary Clinton also started to reset. So Putin thinks that any new U.S. president will come in, and he doesn't have to readjust. Think about it. Russia is a country with less than 3% of the world GDP. But because he thinks he can outlive us all, or outlive them all, he thinks every new president comes in and readjusts. The problem here will be President Trump certainly will give benefit of the doubt to the Russians, like every predecessor had done. It's very important that he, Putin measures everybody from the point of view of the character. And I think from that point of view, and Putin likes to dominate, Putin likes to intimidate, especially during first meetings. And my prediction is that they would meet within a couple of months after, after the inauguration. And I think that will be the moment, because he always measures everybody's character. That's his first KGB mind. That's what he measures. I think from my experience with President-elect Trump, he'll be a very tough nut to crack for Putin for all these kind of reasons, because Putin doesn't like stubborn people. He doesn't like strong characters. He likes people who can really manipulate and intimidate.
Play him.
And the only thing that America cannot afford to show the Russians that America is weak, because the only thing Putin appreciates, everybody knows that, is sheer force.
All right. Thank you very much, Misha. I very much appreciate your time, and I just want to